and welcome to episode 2 of Soap Scoop. I'm LJ.
And I'm Johnny.
And first up, we have an exclusive clip from next Monday's Emmerdale, and it's not looking good for Mack and Charity.
Hello.
Are you drunk?
Yeah, a little bit. How was the meeting?
Oh, thrilling.
Can we talk?
You'll have to be quick, babe. I promised Sarah I'm going to take her shopping.
Right, okay. I just think that you and we need to be more honest with each other.
Okay, where's this coming from?
A conversation I had with Ross.
What did he say?
Nothing much. Just made me realise how much I've been bottling it up.
What are you on about?
Charity, I've tried. Really, I have. It's just, I'm still not okay with the whole surrogacy thing.
Well, the writing's on the wall, isn't it, Johnny?
Well, it looks that way. I don't know. What do you think? Can they go the distance after having endured many a crisis, like every single relationship Charity has had?
The way I see it is, every relationship, every marriage is not perfect. But when you and your husband have survived plunging over a cliff, isn't that sort of the energy that makes you say, do you know what, we can survive anything? It's surely cheaper than marriage counselling.
It is. I mean, there's cliffs and there's emotional cliffs. You know, there's symbolism. Yes, they can do the whole outward bound disaster day and get over that, but I don't know, that wasn't exactly a similar scenario to having your own great grandchild or whatever else is chipping away. There's just too many lies, isn't there? It's a shame. I really like Mack and Charity. I remember campaigning for them to get together, and it was also a bit will they won't they, and they were both so sparky. I do feel like it's maybe curtains.
I agree. I really liked them in the will they, won't they era. But now that they're together...
All in the chase. Is it one of those cases? So many, soap couples, and I don't know, as in life, how deep you want to go. It's all in the chase. Like, once they're together, what do you do? Maybe... Are they victims of that?
I actually prefer Mack in his friendships than his relationships. So, not that I want to advocate stealing cars or Grand Theft Auto, but...
You do outside of Soap Scoop, LJ, is up to you. No judgment here.
Absolutely my business. But I feel that he is much more fun when he's nicking cars with Aaron.
Yes, he is. I love all that, like, caper stuff. Yeah, the kind of cheeky chappy, almost like Ocean's 11. He's almost like a cool rural mini gangster, isn't he? But he gets a bit overwrought, I think. And I think this is why we're seeing the cracks with him and Charity. I think he overthinks so many things. He's got a point. Let's not, get too far from that. Like, Mack's got points to make here, but I think he's just a bit too over-analytical for someone as quite reactive as Charity. And I think Charity just is quite down the line. Like, even when she makes wrong decisions, she kind of sticks to them. I don't know, dare we say in relationships, is he a bit annoying? Sorry, Matt.
I was watching last Thursday's episode where he was, trying to speak to Charity, and it all felt a bit like they just couldn't move past the situation they were in. And I feel like the writing's been on the wall for them for a while. And whether this, of course, is to prompt a Vanity reunion, we will get to them, Vanity fans.
We're going to get there, because that's where it's heading.
We're going to get into this. But the thing that Mack and Charity have to overcome first is this issue of the surrogacy dilemma. Now, this has sparked such a huge conversation among viewers. Is Charity doing the right thing by Sarah, or is this too much for her? I mean, it's a lot to be going through at a time in her life where, she's looking after her granddaughter. Debbie Dingle is nowhere to be seen, but she's essentially now going to, try to be a surrogate for Sarah, which is a lot.
It is a lot. And Debbie Dingle down under don't care, obviously. Can we get Debbie Dingle on a video call? And as you say, Charity, she is looking a bit weary. Can Debbie Dingle on a video call see the state of her mother, because yeah, she's run ragged. It is a lot. She's had 38,000 children. Anyway, it's a lot for the body to go through. And it is a lot emotionally. I think Charity has taken on too much. She wants to do this. She's still got guilt over, Ryan and Debbie and giving those children away. Yeah, she's made a lot of mistakes. So I feel like she's maybe at that reflective stage, late 40s, early 50s, where are you feeling a bit like, okay, it's time to make good on the mistakes. However, I think, she could be on a stretcher by next Thursday's double episode at this rate. I think it's a bit too much. I also think, I don't know how shameful you want to go here, but did Ross go too far, or do you think Ross made a good point when he just shouted, "Dingles are freaks"?
Ross made me laugh because everyone in Inside Soap Office who has ever tried to construct a Dingle family tree has given up. We just don't print it in our magazine.
It's impossible.
You can't.
No, you need a gatefold, triple million fold out, special issue to do it. Yes, we've all tried. It's so complicated. I mean, it's so Dingle though, isn't it? There's a really nice, genuine emotion behind this, I think. The fact, like I mentioned before, Charity's guilt about, has she ever got it right as a mum? Maybe this is a chance to make good on some mistakes. And Sarah, you can really see it from Sarah's point of view. I have to say, I think Katie Hill's been brilliant. She's come into her own. I've been so moved by this, really, with the Sarah scenes and Katie's performance, because yes, she's got this life-limiting condition. It's tragic. She's only 20. She's already thinking about the end of her life and how much time can she ever possibly have to have a child. It's really moving, emotional stuff, and yet it's also absolutely insane and so kind of high octane. What? So it's your classic Dingle story, really. But morally, I don't know. I feel like maybe it's probably going to end in a lot of tears.
But this is what I love about Emmerdale, and this is what Emmerdale does so brilliantly. Emmerdale is the dynasty and the Dallas of the British soap operas, all the twists and turns. And to fair play to them, as much as we say, Charity, does she want this at her stage in her life? She's run ragged by all these family dramas. They're taking Charity, who is just solid gold for that show, and using her, milking her more than the cows on Moira's farm for all this drama. And I'm so here for it because I love Charity. I love Emma Atkins, a brilliant stand-up performance. And I know the fans as well. We did promise we were going to get to Vanity. They shared a kiss, which I feel is like Emmerdale saying, you can have your Rob Ron, you can have your Vanity, we're going to dangle that carrot for you, and then you can wait for the main course a bit later on.
Yeah, this has definitely got, okay, let's not tell anyone and wait till Super Soap Week in the autumn vibes, don't you think?
Absolutely, yeah. And do you know what? The thing I loved about that Charity and Vanessa kiss is that you saw them kiss on screen, left on that cliffhanger, and then on Friday, Charity wakes up on her own sofa, so you don't really know what happened in between. And then she goes round to see Vanessa and says, "Oh, do you think we could keep this to ourselves? Maybe just not mention it ever again?" And Vanessa's like, "No, you're going to tell Mack." And it was almost like, you will not have your get out of jail free card. You will not pass go. You will not collect £200 to save your marriage. And I'm going to have this out. But then, true to Vanessa being the angel that she is, later turned up at Charity's house and they had that conversation in front of Mack where she's like, "Well, don't worry, I'm very forgetful these days," which was such a lovely thing for her to do. And I think, yeah, that's definitely going to leave us wanting more in terms of, because I love Charity and Vanessa as well. In fact, Charity could be with anybody in that show. She just has that amazing chemistry.
And they always make it work, don't they? Like whoever they put Charity with, you might start thinking, oh, no, I can't see that. I can't see them together. Such a great cast, Emmerdale. And as you say, Emma Atkins is amazing. She's genius and she so inhabits that character. You kind of feel like, you could put her with anyone. And because Charity is so kind of cray-cray, it brings something different to that character's life that she then gets with. Do you know what I mean? So Vanessa was, I think, one of the most unlikely characters ever that she got with. And yet one of the most iconic partnerships that, Charity or Vanessa's ever had, because they're so different. And because, I don't know, it introduced, like you say, I love that, you picked up on the Vanessa being much more straight and down the line. And I don't know, is she the only person to call Charity out? really, even though they're kind of not together. I mean, are they or aren't they? I think because you go back to Charity opening up to Vanessa about Ryan and about a deep trauma that she had never talked to anybody about, and just whether they're together romantically or not, I think that bond is there between them that comes out unsaid in moments like this, that Vanessa, they have bonded over things that Charity's never bonded with anyone else about. I think Charity's a bit scared of Vanessa as well in some ways, which I really enjoy. She's not
Yeah.
scared of Mac. She's not scared of Kane. She's not scared of Jay. Do you think she's a bit scared of Vanessa?
I do actually. I think Vanessa is one of the few people that Charity actually listens to. And on that note, I will shout out to the amazing Michelle Hardwick, who I've had so many gorgeous chats with in recent times and prior to that. And I think she's going for like best comedy performance, I think, this year. She's really made me laugh, Vanessa. So yeah, I think I'd love to see more of them. But is it going to be that straightforward, because they appear to have parked it for now?
For now, I mean, please, I want my money back if by November we haven't revisited this. So yeah, I'm really intrigued as to when, not if. Let's be honest, this is all going to come out, and where it's going to go. As if the surrogacy plot couldn't get any madder.
Well, I think things are going to get madder, because the week that we are previewing, there's a massive fallout between Mack and Charity, which you've just seen a bit of a clip of. That leads to her chucking him out. And then there's an incident with John, Killer John, who, oh my God, we could have a whole podcast about John, because so many things. We're going to get into that later. But Mack finds a clue that basically rumbles Killer John. And we know from a flash forward earlier on in the year that there's a scene with Mack running in the woods with his beanie hat. And you were saying that you think the two are connected.
It's got to be, right? January, we have these flash forwards. That particular scene, pay close attention, viewers and readers. Are we approaching the reason Matt looked so worried when he was running in the woods? Unless he was just running for a bus. Unless he was just running because he'd left the oven on and he had to run back home. Or was he running from a kind of local murderer who he may or may not have rumbled? And all the flash forwards when we've got to them have been really juicy, haven't they? A lot of it was to do with the limo crash that was a few months after the initial flash forwards. Yes, intrigue. But yeah, I think it's just from now on and screen out, you've got to pay extra close attention, because yeah, Mac's about to really have a reason to run for his life.
I was just thinking as well about these amazing dynamics between these characters, because if you think of that scene where Vanessa did go round to speak to Charity and Mack, and there was this, we knew what was going on between Charity and Vanessa, so did they, and Mack didn't. Can you imagine if my ex came round? I'd be absolutely mortified. But this is the relationship in soaps. They just all learn to live together in the same village because they have to, because it's a continuing drama. And that's fascinating.
It is fascinating, but yes, particularly with this, you're right, because they've all, they're all actors who sign contracts and they have to just rub along. But it is strange, you see, even the other day I was watching it and I thought Laurel and Marlon were married. And do we ever talk about that? And it's nice, they're friends, but they had a tough time with, Laurel's alcoholism through that marriage, and I don't know, so many examples of people who've either kind of hooked up or they were in proper relationships and it didn't end well. And then they're just down the shop, getting a loaf of bread, just like making chit chat. It is strange. And as you say, in real life, would you really want to be bumping into your ex in the pub every night, in your local shop, down your local sports pavilion? I mean, I don't know. Fair play to them, because I would find it hard.
It is strange, but it would make life a hell of a lot more interesting. I'd be like full hair and makeup every day, I'm bumping into my ex, I'm going to show him what he's missing.
Heels on, the sass, absolutely. I think if, any exes of mine saw me, they'd be like, thank goodness I'm missing that. That's probably what would happen. So, You're
so hard on yourself, Johnny.
Well, if I'm not, others are going to be.
Well, what we can say is that, yes, there's lots going on for Mack, Charity, Vanessa, and indeed John. Now, I spoke to the lovely Lawrence Robb, who joined me to preview this week. So me and Johnny are going to shut up and move you over to the lovely Lawrence, who talks about Mack's issues with John, his issues with Charity. does speak about the Vanity kiss and how Mack might react to that. So if you're interested in what's next, please stay on the line to listen to lovely Lawrence, and Johnny and I will be back with you next week for more bants and chat. Welcome, Lawrence Robb, to Soap Scoop, otherwise known as the Inside Soap podcast.
Hiya. How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. Thank you for joining us. There's so much going on for Mack. We've got to unpack this straight away, and let's dive into everything that's going on with Charity. How is he feeling about the fact that she's pregnant?
I think he's on the whole not okay with it. It's been a rocky, it's been turbulent for Mackenzie and Charity, certainly since the dawn of time, or since Mackenzie arrived. Namely, that the main part of why Mackenzie's probably not okay with it is obviously 2 years ago they lost their own baby, and it nearly killed Charity. After that, he then said that I want to try again. Absolutely fair enough to Charity. She was like, my body, my choice. And no, we're not doing that because it nearly killed me. And then that is kind of where little Ruben came about. So I think ultimately he's very confused and slightly upset about why she's decided to do it now, when she wasn't willing to do it for their baby. Sorry, not their baby that they had, but she wasn't willing to do it for to try again for another baby.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so many different conversations that's going on between the two of them, and sadly, where she's so caught up with everything, she forgets the anniversary of losing their baby, and that obviously is really tough for Mack. Would you agree?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I don't think it would have been as poignant had the storyline that is currently unfolding had that not happened. I don't think it would have mattered as much. But because she forgot, paired with the fact that she's said that she's going to carry Sarah's baby, I think it's just all a little bit much. It hits home, and it's probably a slightly stronger feeling for Mackenzie because she is carrying Sarah's baby.
While all this has been going on, the audience knows, but Mack doesn't, that Charity and Vanessa have shared a kiss. How do you think he's going to react if he knows that she's been unfaithful?
In all honesty, I don't know the answer to that question, because probably a bit of Lawrence comes in there. I don't know. I'd like to think that he would forgive her, simply because he has a son with Chloe, and whilst at that point he did think that they were over, so they were kind of on a break, if you want to put it like that. Still, Ruben arrived because of Mack's infidelity, and that was a lot more than just a kiss. There's a kind of there's a fine line there, because some people might argue that a kiss is, as soon as you go over that line of infidelity, or giving into passion, or however people want to say it, adultery, you're crossing a line anyway, so it doesn't matter how far you go once you cross that line. But I'd like to think, because of what's happened, he would be able to forgive her. That's a very long-winded way of saying that that's what I would want to happen. Having said that, don't know whether that's the case.
Well, I mean, there's so much going on as well. She's definitely worried about something in the wake of finding out about this pregnancy, and she's keeping it to herself and keeping it from Mack. So again, it's another issue, isn't it, as to how he's going to react if he finds out she's keeping something even bigger for him.
Yeah. I mean, I think from Charity's point of view, she's probably got a lot of things on her plate. Mack is probably so focused, or he is so focused on, the baby stuff that it probably is. That's probably not even in his radar. In fact, I know it isn't. So I think that's more of a an issue for Charity than it is for Mack. But ultimately, I'd like to think that, you know, I'll reverse back to the fact that he should, in theory, be able to forgive her for it.
I was going to say it's not looking good for the two of them, but he saved her from going over a cliff. Surely, whatever is coming for them, they can weather this storm. Do you think they're strong enough?
Yeah, again, I'd like to think so, but you know, I think the unfortunate reality of our job and what we do is that when there's happiness, that there's less opportunity for drama, and we are doing a drama. I think the more things that are thrown in front of are thrown in front of Mack and Charity, or indeed any soap couple, you know, the more exciting and more on edge the audience are. But you know, I think if they get through it, then they'll be stronger than ever. I mean, we'll say that about everything that happens to anybody, but I'd like to think that in this instance, if they manage to get through what is coming this year, they will be stronger than ever. But there is a lot of stuff coming this year.
Yeah, absolutely. I can tell that it's difficult for you to answer because obviously there's so much stuff coming up. We know when Emmerdale heads into its autumn leading up to Christmas, it is just absolutely on fire, literally at times. And you've not just got all the charity pregnancy stuff. Mack is caught up in the twists and turns of John's story, which is worrying if you're a Mack fan, because of course John is dangerous when he wants to be. And this week that we're talking about, Mack is privy to the information that Aaron has cheated on John with Robert. So how does Mack react to that, being Aaron's mate?
There's probably a bit of everything linked in. I mean, obviously he's Aaron's best mate, and famously he has never really been the biggest fan of John. I think he's kind of come to accept and almost support the marriage that they have had because of, you know, the slurry and the fact that obviously Mack doesn't know that John was responsible for that. He thinks that John helped. So I think there's probably a bit of everything there. I think initially he's like, oh, brilliant, okay, classic, you've gone and done that, well done. You know, you've not even been married 5 minutes and you've in fact, it happens before the wedding, unless I'm mistaken. And he tells him that it happens before the wedding, and Mack's like, brilliant, of course, because that's just what you do. So he's like the kind of annoying mate that is like, well done. And I think Aaron gets his heckles up a little bit at that, but you know, it's all tongue in cheek. It's a classic Mackenzie response, I think. But ultimately, he's supportive of whatever Aaron wants to do.
Yeah, I love their bromance. I remember when you first arrived in Emmerdale, and there was a point where Inside Soap was shipping the pair of you, but it's ended up exactly where it needed to be, just as really good friends. And Mack and Robert have been getting along as well, which I think is really nice. Are you pleased that you've kind of got these nice bromances in the show?
Yeah, and it helps that we're all relatively fond of each other in real life as well. So, you know, sometimes you may end up watching a scene that is actually more Lawrence and Danny as opposed to Mack and Aaron, and vice versa. You know, so it's very good fun. It's very good fun to film with them, and yeah, I thoroughly enjoy it.
And you mentioned slurry. We call it Slurrygate at Inside Soap because it's only in Emmerdale can anything like this happen. And Mack seemed to take his eye off John after the fallout of all of that. But he is due to discover a clue about what John's up to. Can you tease what he uncovers and how?
I probably can't tease too much, but he does find a piece of evidence that that points the finger at John, and kind of everything kind of falls into place from that piece of evidence. So it's almost like I'm trying to think of an analogy. Almost like a house of cards. Like he finds that piece of evidence, and the whole house of cards come tumbling down. And it's in that moment that it happens, and it's whether John realizes at that moment that Mack has suddenly figured it out that is the key point and the key catalyst that pushes the story further.
So should we be very worried for Mack at this stage?
Absolutely, you should.
I mean, in an ideal world, would you like Mack to be the one to bring John down?
In an ideal world, yes, because it was really only Mack who saw through the facade that John brought at the very start and throughout his time at the village, apart from the very end when he almost pulled the wool over his eyes a little bit. But fundamentally, Mack was the one that was like, nah, don't trust him, don't like him, from the very beginning, which was at times very difficult to do because the on the other side of the coin, Ollie, who plays John, is just the most lovely boy on the planet. So it was hard at times to like. I mean, no, we're all actors, but I'm saying that in a kind of tongue-in-cheek way because we all had fun, but it was surreal at times seeing him turn into this alter ego, absolute sycophantic psychopath.
I know. I've worked with Ollie before when he was on Coronation Street and obviously doing Emmerdale now, and he is such a lovely guy.
He's just a gorgeous human. He's just a gorgeous, kind, gentle human, and it's been funny watching him be like, oh God, you're actually just. But then on some levels, like there are that at times has been probably John's downfall, that he's the victim of his own conscience, and that's probably for Ollie to say, but that is, he tries so hard to be good, and in doing so can sometimes end up blurring the line of being bad.
I found myself feeling a bit sorry for him, which is a really strange thing to feel.
Yeah, it's a weird. Most people will probably disagree because they'll be like, nah, he's done this, and he has. But ultimately, he didn't intend to kill Nate, for example. It was a mistake.
Yeah, poor Nate.
Yeah.
It feels to me like Emmerdale is real Avengers Assemble energy at the moment. You've got Mack, Ross, Robert, Joe Tate, all these maverick personalities. Can you imagine them all teaming up if they weren't fighting each other all the time?
Now there's one. I mean, I think if all of their needs and wants ended up being the same thing, then yeah, I absolutely can. But I don't think they would all. You're never going to find all of them going to the pub and sharing a pint together. Yeah, everyone always says, like, there's a nice analogy that the only time there would be like world peace is if like an alien invasion were to like invade the world, because then everyone in the world is fighting against something else that isn't each other, and ultimately we're all harbingers of our own doom, which is a very morbid thing to say, especially in an Inside Soap podcast. But ultimately, I don't think that they all, whilst they probably all have an understanding and maybe an element of a respect for each other, they're not all ever going to be mates. So no, unless it was actually you guys that brought up the alien. Avengers Assemble is all about aliens invading the planet, and that's the only time that they all kind of come together and be like, no, we need to fight this. That's the only time I think that Mack, Ross, Robert, and Joe Tate would ever kind of join forces. If someone external came and was just threatening everything in Emmerdale, that's the only time I think it would happen.
I'm going to put that to Laura Shaw and have you all in costume. You have got as well, I know you can't talk about it, it's very early days at the moment, but Emmerdale and Corrie gearing up for this big crossover episode. Too early to ask if you're going to be in it, I'm sure, but have you got a dream Corrie crossover that you'd love if you are in it? With a certain character?
No, not really. I think everybody within each show brings their own little spark of magic to either show. I don't think it would be fair for me to like say I want to work with this person. I'd like to say that anybody within that show and vice versa here, depending whether either we're doing it or whether we're involved with the Corriedale, if that's what we can call it. I don't know. Maybe it was called that. Yeah, I'm going to be diplomatic. I'm going to say that everybody will bring their own bit of magic, and it will be exciting to work with. If we're doing it, or if I'm doing it, it will be exciting to work with any of them.
Yeah, absolutely. I think everyone's really looking forward to it, just seeing how it's going to work and what you're going to do. So that's all fab. And in the meantime, we are hurtling towards the autumn, which is explosive in Emmerdale. There's no stunt that you've not done. You're going over.
He's bionic, isn't he? There isn't any, I'm surprised he's still alive, genuinely. There's been a lot of things that's happened to him. The poor boy.
Well, they obviously love putting you through it, and we love watching that. So I will end this by saying thank you, Lawrence Robb, for joining us at Soap Scoop. We look forward to everything that's coming up for you. I think it's going to be eventful from what I understand. So we will look forward to what's coming up.
Thank you very much for having me.
What a lovely chat from Lawrence. Don't forget to like and subscribe to Soap Scoop and check out Inside Soap Magazine every Tuesday.